Good morning, Year 7. We're going to finish off our history for Year 7 by looking at the slave trade and the Black peoples of the Americas topic. So we're going to start in today's lesson by just trying to get some idea of what slavery means to us. Okay, so what is a slave compared to somebody who is not a slave? So your first starter is to simply write down and think about what you think are our basic human rights. What do we take for granted that we believe we're entitled to that somebody who is a slave would not have? Then I want you to look at this picture here and think about what this person in the picture doesn't have as far as you do. So what rights has this person had taken away from them? And then in this lesson we're going to focus in on a man called Olaudah Equiano. Olaudah Equiano was a boy that was taken from his village, from his home in Africa, and brought to America as a slave. Once he'd been taken from his homeland, he never saw his family again. And he was kept as a slave until he was able to buy his freedom, something that was very unusual. Not many people managed to do this, but Olaudah Equiano was working for a doctor who taught Olaudah to be able to read and write, again, something very, very rare with slaves. But this allowed Olaudah Equiano to be able to do some errands himself because he could read and write and do some delivery while his employer, a doctor, was busy with patients, and this allowed him to earn enough money to buy his freedom from his owner. So we're going to have a look at Olaudah. You've got on the sheet, on the PowerPoint, a description of his capture, how he's described his capture. I want you to read through that, please, and try and work out how it happened. The obvious question, what basic rights did he have taken away from him? All right, that I want you to do. And then the other thing I want you to do this morning or this week for your work is I want you to have a look at this sheet here. You've got a copy of that as a PDF. You've got a copy of that as a Word document. Okay, so the one I've put on the PowerPoint is just so I can talk through it. It's not that you need to fill it in on there. You have got 3 boxes to try and fill in. So you've got the description of his capture at the bottom here. I want you to write down in this first box here what you can learn from this source. So what does it actually tell you in that source? All right. You've then got on the other side, what can you infer from this source? Okay, so inference, remember, is something you can work out from the source, but not something that's directly being told to you. So I want you, particularly for this, there's just one inference I really want you to look for, and it's right at the bottom of that source, okay, by Olaudah Equiano. So what can you work out about his capture from what you can read in the bottom of that source? And then this box here, if there's anything else you would still like to know about his capture, about what happened to him afterwards. And then the last part of this particular PowerPoint is this picture here, all right, where you've got another picture, all right, a picture this time of a capture of slaves, okay, whereas Olaudah Equiano gave you a description, this one is a picture. I want to know how this source agrees or disagrees with Olaudah Equiano's capture. Okay, so that's your first activity. Okay, Year 7s, your second activity for this week is to have a go at a interpretation style question. So you have got 2 pictures of slaves being captured and taken from their homeland to the Americas. One of them, okay, you've previously looked at, and a different one at the top here. Your activity is very simple, and I've given you some pointers on how to answer it. The question says, study interpretations 1 and 2, which is the 2 picture sources. They give different views on the capture of slaves. What is the main difference between these views? So you've got to look at source 1 and source 2 and look for the key difference in what it's saying about the capture of these slaves. It then says, explain your answer using details from both interpretations, and it gives you an idea of how to do it. So what you can see there in italics, I would use those as your starting sentences. You've got to look at what the difference is between interpretations 1 and 2, but then more importantly than that as well, you've also got to try and give me a reason why you think there is that difference, okay, in interpretations 1 and 2. All right, so that's your activity, okay, for this week. All right, any problems, again, remember to email me.